Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening everyone. Happy fasting all. May Allah bless us during this Ramadan. I'm Isana. Currently, I'm living in Glasgow, having my master program in immunology and inflammatory disease. First of all, thank you for the committee for giving me the opportunity to share my experience here. Today, I would like to share my knowledge about writing in English. And hopefully it will be useful for you all to prepare your student exchange, fellowship, conference, or maybe to pursue your master degree. Actually, I would like to deliver it in Bahasa, but because this is English class, the committee said that it would be better if I deliver it in English. So hopefully you understand what I said, and if there is something unclear, please do not hesitate to ask. And just for disclaimer, actually I'm not expert in English writing. I am still learning, but I will try to share my knowledge about the topics. So all of the material here that I will deliver is based on my experience. We can see the typical relationship between writer and reader that display in the right above figures, where the writer ignores the reader perspective. Basically, we should understand the concept of writing itself. Writing is a part of communication. Imagine when we talk to someone, we tend to notice their expectation related to what we talk about. Is it similar with writing? But many undergraduate students do not consider the reader. They tend to write about the things that they know, usually in the form of description, without notice the reader expectation. It's not totally wrong actually. It's common for undergraduate assignments such as undergraduate essay or laboratory report. It seems logical that writing is really about the writer. But for advanced essay such as motivation letter, recommendation letter, or maybe postgraduate assignments, we should consider the reader perspective, what the reader expects from our essay. So it's better for us to change the mindset from proof style writing to persuade style of writing. As we can see in pictures on the slide 4, a good conversation is when one person talks while the other listens. Then how to make our conversation partner listens? Is it by understanding what kind of information that they want? It includes understanding their expectation. Imagine you are as a listener. You may hope to hear the idea clearly and concise without flowery words, right? The writing is similar, actually. In writing, especially in the UK writing style, directness in communication is important. You should explicitly express your idea using the exact and understandable language. Do not make confusing sentences. So that's why grammar and vocabularies are really essential. Good grammar leads us to make our sentence understandable, and vocabulary makes us easy to express the idea with clear and concise. For example, we have vocabulary physical distancing right now. Imagine if we don't know that vocabulary, we may say standing or distancing ourselves in 2 meters to the other person. Is it too long sentence, right? And not concise. So to enhance our grammar and vocabulary, we should read and practice a lot. Remember that writing is an output of reading. If we want to increase our academic vocabulary, reading journal is a good option. But if we want to enrich our vocabulary in journalistic, reading English news websites such as The Economics or The Guardians is preferable because they have excellent style in news. Or maybe if you want to write good caption for your Instagram, for example, reading the other Englishman Instagram caption or watching movie may be beneficial because they may contain slang language or slang vocabulary which will be more suitable for the audience in social media. And remember, learning some things need process. So the more you read and practice, the more you will improve your writing. As I mentioned before, grammar is important. Why is important? Because it shows our professionality and it makes us easier to deliver the sentence clearly and understandable. There are many kind of grammars that we should know. All of the grammars are significant to increase our writing quality. The common grammar style will be elaborated in the next slide. How could we learn grammar? Actually, there are many kind of resources nowadays that we can use to learn grammar freely. Based on my experience, previously I used Longman TOEFL books to learn the grammar. It's quite recommended actually because it's simple and contain the assignments as well. So we can evaluate our capability through the questions that the book provided. Also, the last time to improve or to know my improvement in learning grammar, I joined the TOEFL-like test just to know my improvement in grammar and structures. It's quite cheap for students for TOEFL-like tests, and frequently some private language institution provide it freely, so we can take the test as often as possible just to know our grammar improve or not. I have proved it actually. For example, after I finished all of the assignment on the books, then I take the TOEFL test, my grammar enhanced significantly. Or the other resource such as website. Some credible websites such as English Council websites provide grammar freely. For you who don't know, British Council is official institutions that usually held the IELTS test from UK representative. You must also remember that some vocabulary in UK style is different with the US style. For instance, color in UK with U and pediatrics in UK with A. So there are difference with US style. So we should notice it because it's really important to improve the quality in our writing. For grammar that important for writing, I want to strike into the example to make it easier to understand. This is one of the essay from my friend that asked me to proofread. She applied for 7 at that time. We can see the questions here, the leadership and influence. And as we know, the basic grammar are present tense, past tense, and future tense. Here the example. We can see number 1 here. It used present tense because it explains the definition of something. Leadership is not merely a matter of leading a large group and fed by many people, but for myself, leadership is more about how I encourage others. So here, she used it to explain the definition of leadership. And we can see in number 2, I underlined the did here. It used past tense because it explains the previous event that she carried out research during her undergraduate. And from those 2 examples, we can conclude that grammar that we used in writing is depend on the context and time of events. The red sign here that I put on the text is my correction actually. Because previously she used present tense to tell her past story, then here I correct to the past tense. And for future tense, it usually used when we talk about our future plan in the essay or the impact that we will contribute after we join the program. For number 3 and number 4 that shown here, I will explain in the next slide. just bear in mind that number 3 is about preposition. Is by discussing. The by is preposition. And number 4 is about adjective clause connectors. I put this picture from Longman book that I mentioned in the previous slide. For example, number 3, we can see by discussing phrase here. In grammar rule, we should remember that by as a preposition, when it followed by a verb, it should be a gerund or verb ing. So by plus verb ing, it will be by discussing. I will show the other example. Here, one of the preposition is after. So, for example, we should not write after it, but after eating. So, after, eat plus ing. Or maybe before going. Before, go plus ing. Go is vocab. Go is verb and plus ing. So, become before going. Or the object of preposition is noun, pronoun or noun clause that comes after preposition. On the slide, we can see the example of skill 2. This is the sentence, after his exams. So here, after is followed by noun. The noun is his exam. Tom will take a trip by boat. Boat is a noun as well. So the preposition by is followed by boat as a noun. The more detail about it, you can learn by yourself from the book or website that I have recommended before. Next, for example number 4, the designer thinks whom I took the responsibility. Whom that she used in the isai in the sentence is an adjective clause connectors. As we can see in the picture 4 here, there are some adjective clause connectors such as whom if we use it for a person, which if we use it for things, or that it can be used for people or things. The other example of adjective clause connectors is shown on the sentence that displayed in this figure. I like the book which you recommended. So basically this sentence is a merge from 2 sentences. The sentence I like the book and the sentence the book was recommended by you. So when it's merged, it's become I like the book which you recommended. Remember the rules of a good essay that I have mentioned previously. It should be concise. So by merging 2 sentences into 1 sentence, it can increase the conciseness. Actually, don't worry too much if you are not really into the grammar. Recently, there is application or website that provides service to improve or correct your grammar. It's called Grammarly, the famous one. You can search it in internet. It comes in many versions, free, premium, or business versions, which more costly. It's not an advertisement. I just want to let you know about this. Here, I want to show you kind of things that you should consider during writing. It can be seen about the audience. In the above, as I explained before, we should know our audience to predict their expectation. If the audience is general people, we should write in simple way or using vocabulary that will be understandable for common people. But if our audience is an expert, we can use specific vocabulary to be looked more professional and deep in writing. For example, if the reader is a doctor, you can use medical terms such as for stomachache, you can say gastritis or gastric perforation. And the other that should be considered are formality, domain, tone, and intention. For formality, usually there are some types like informal, neutral, and formal. Informal is used when we write a letter to our friends, and formal is used if we write an email to institution or to clients. The other considerations such as domain, tone, and intent is not really important for basic writing. It usually applies when you will write a news or postgraduate essay. It will talk about a good writing. Here are some tips for me to create a good writing based on my experience. First, as I always mentioned before, you should consider the reader perspective, what they want to hear from you, what your skill that you should show up the most. It will be easier actually if there is guideline available. As we can see on the right pictures, some events such as ISCOMS, this is a kind of conference, student conference, will display their tips and tricks on the website. You should read it thoroughly to ensure that you do not miss some things. But the other conference usually didn't display it. So you should carefully look to their website to get the tips and tricks implicitly. And this first point is also includes consideration your audience. That like what I mentioned before, like who is your audience? An academia, a common people, or a researchers, because it may affect what kind of vocabulary that you will use on the essay. The second is to be concise and clear, no flowery words. In UK style, you should put the main point usually in the first sentence, then follow by supporting sentence, and then give examples to make your statement clear. Then put a simple summary for the last sentence in a paragraph. The third is use the connection words properly. It will make your essay easy to follow. The connection words such as but, although, furthermore, moreover, it may not be used frequently because it can disturb the natural flow of your essay. To ensure about the flow of your essay, ask your friends or read your essay directly, then ask the comments from your friends whether it is easy to understand or not. And the fourth tips is you should use good grammar to show your professionality and make the essay clear. And the last is the most important thing actually. Do not do plagiarism. Be original. Do not copy paste the other one essay. I recommend you, if you want to read the other people's essay, just take the inspiration from that essay. But still, the writing style and the construction of the essay should be yours. If you are suspect to do plagiarism in the future, it may affect your integrity. So just be careful, do not do plagiarism. The next question is how to start writing. Well, some of you may be confused how to make a sentence or essay for the first time. Here I want to give some tips and tricks. The first is you should understand the questions. I will explain it in the next slide, by the way. Second, draft the outline first. It may help you to make a good flow that I have mentioned before. The third is just write what in your mind. Do not postpone it because the idea may come out when you write it. Remember, there is no perfect essay that is written in the first time. Even for professionals such as professor that read journal and paper, they may publish it after many process of proofreading. So just write it. Do not procrastinate. The next is spare a time to proofreading. You can ask proofreading to your friend, your mentor, and also you can proofread by yourself. And recently, there are some application or software to proofread, such as Grammarly, that I have mentioned before. They will proofread your grammar, and in the premium version, you can submit it for proofreading to the professional. But you may long to wait. And the last is consider the writing style between UK and US because they are different. Here, the example of easy questions. I will demonstrate how to understand the questions. The first questions, it can be seen, it's about leadership and influence. I put the example from Chevening essay. The questions is, Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet this requirement using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. The minimum word count is 100 words and the maximum word count is 500 words. Here I highlight the keywords of the questions. It is explain how you meet the requirement using clear examples. In reality, some people just mention their leadership skill. They didn't explain how. They just mention what kind of events that they lead. They just mention they are easygoing, good in people management, and blah blah blah. But they forgot to demonstrate and explain their leadership skill, the process, how they do the teamwork, and how they negotiate with difficult time, for example. And some people exceed in the maximum word counts. It can be a penalty actually, sometimes for the word counts. And the second questions about networking. The keywords are here. I make some highlights. Explain how you build and maintain the relationship and using clear example of how you currently do this and outline how you hope to use this skill in the future. Again, when I did proofreading, some people just mention the person that they know and the team that they ever lead, but they didn't put a detailed story about how they meet the people in the first time, then tell how they make a networking to the person and maintain in the long time until now. And for the other keywords about how you hope to use these skills in the future, they forgot to relate it to Chevening community. Although it's not mentioned here, but if we think further, it would be better to relate our future hope with the community in our scholarship because the context here is about networking. Okay, this is the last slide, but maybe it takes longer time compared to the previous slides. Here I want to share my experience on how to make motivation letter. First, my tips is know what your targeted scholarship want. It would be better if you know what kind of candidate that they want, what is their vision and mission, what is the key criteria of their selection process. Some of the information might not explicitly explain on a website. You should go extra miles to know it in more detail. This information might lead you to make the essay more on point. And then the second is filling the gap. Scholarship or student exchange is the program that is created as a solution of a problem, right? It can be a specific in your field, the gap. For example, in my field, in health field, the main problem in Indonesia is malnutrition children. So an expert in malnutrition to help to overcome the problem is urgently needed. So that will be the reason why I should pursue a higher degree in health and nutrition to overcome the malnutrition problem. And the third tips is be concise and crystal clear. You can use STAR methods to achieve these tips. STAR is situation, task, action, and result. For example, you can explain what kind of situation or what kind of challenge that you faced at that time. For example, the situation is when I become the coordinator of international events and the events lack of budgets. And the task that I have, I am the coordinator of events which have responsibility to arrange the program and invited the speaker. Then the action that I did is using my networking to look for the speakers and find the sponsorship to fund the events. As a result, I demonstrate my networking skills to solve the main problem of the international events, which is a lack of budgets. So by using stars, I make the explanations is more makes sense and the flow is clearer. And the next tips is be as personal as possible. We know that everyone is unique, so here show your potential and your uniqueness. For example, to answer the questions, why you are a good candidate, for example, you don't have to be straight A students. There may be the other capability that you have that is more suitable with the scholarship mission. For example, you have ability to public speaking, or you are a good in social project coordinator. It will be more priceless compared to if you have a perfect GPA but you don't have any specific skills like that. And the next tips is be linear between the past experience, the program that you want to join, and the future plan. It is not explicitly mandatory actually. It's applied on how you make a red line between the things that you have, the skills, the knowledge that you already have, and then the things that you will improve through the program that you want to join, and then the future application of knowledge and the skills that you got from the program. And the next tips is closing statement. Don't forget to make closing statement in your essay. Make it as a simple sentence but impressive, polite, and not flowery words. Not flowery words or not too much. Keep concise and clear. And then the last tips is remember that there is X factor or lucky factors in the process of applying everything. Do the things wholeheartedly. Do not apply just to take a change. Don't forget to pray hard and always give the best in any effort that you try to attempt. Because actually not the result that matter, but the improvement of yourself that you make during the process that is matter a lot. So just enjoy the process. Don't strict too much to the outcome because everyone has their own timeline actually. Okay, this is the closing slide. Here I want to show you the TED Talks that may be interesting to watch. It's about the first 20 hours, how to learn anything by Josh Kaufman. The concept is it needs 20 hours for general people to start learn new things. It's hard in the beginning, but once we pass it, we usually enjoy the process and we can learn it easily after that. Actually, I have proved it. It's hard to learn IELTS in the beginning, but after that, I only need like 10 hours to improve one level of my writing skills. And as you know that 10 hours is maybe equal with 10 essay consecutively without any long pause of learning. For specifically for learning language, we should remember that it's better to learn in a small portion but frequent rather than learning in a big portion but you seldom to learn about it, because the continuity of your learning process will make it easy to remember the vocabulary and the patterns that you already learned. Yeah, that's all my sharing. I'm really glad to share my experience to all of you guys. Hopefully, it brings benefit for you all. And if there is any questions, just let me know. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.